All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Morning to some of you. My name's Phil Stepney. Thanks so much for joining me here on Africam Live on the Hyde Show, the afternoon show. Hope you're all having a great day so far. Got lots of people tuning in from all over the world. Hi, Estelle from Arkansas, Teresa from Michigan, Lynn from Hamburg. Classic concept, having people from all over the world watching these incredible cameras that are quite widely spread across the northern part of South Africa. Some of you may have been here. I'm sure it brings back really fond memories. It's one of those things, Africa, once you've had a look at it once, it gets stuck in the system forever, I reckon. Folks, yeah, so we look forward to the next hour for some of you, half an hour for others. And let's see what's going on the cameras this afternoon. It's a beautiful day in all of the areas at the moment. There has been lots of rain. The summer season's been really good this time round. We're here at the Olifants River, which is still very nice and full, not quite as full as it has been over the last couple of weeks. Just having a good look around to see who's under what tree. Wonderful bird calls in the background, always very active environment along the riverbanks. Let's give the camera a bit of time just to keep looking around. I want to have a look. I have been seeing some good crocodiles lately as the sandbanks expose themselves. The hippos seem to have moved on. But let's have a look around here. We try and follow suit of the animals we see, and that is no rush. Take our time, have a good look around. Got a couple of snapshots and highlight videos to share with you in the second half of the show. But for now, let's keep panning around the river and see what's coming our way. If anyone does have any questions, as usual, fire away. Some of you on the Africam website, others on Facebook or YouTube. It's always really nice to see some of your comments. The purple-crested characo calling in the background there. Sounds a bit like a croaking frog. But if you have a look at the color of the bird, it's absolutely gorgeous. A purple-crested characo. Those of you that may have a bird book or have loaded up one of the birding apps, there's a crocodile, I think. Oh, just off on the left of that sandbank. It might have been a log, I'm not sure. Let's see if the camera goes back in that direction. Cape turtle doves calling. Wonderful afternoon call. Okay, so there's not too much in the way of wildlife that we can see. I'm sure there's something sneaking around there. But we'll go across to Tau, where there seems to be a fair amount going on. Look at those white elephants on the left. We've often seen them quite red in color, but it looks to me like these elephants have spent a bit of time at the Tower Waterhole itself. We can see that the sand is quite light in color as opposed to the red ochres that you find in some clay soils. Estelle, just to answer your question, it's 4:38 in the afternoon here. Are you having a cup of tea? And I'm adding a G to that. Not right now. The wildebeest in the background between the two elephants. It's always wonderful to see how these animals, generally speaking, get on with each other. They've just got one thing in common, and that is to feed, to drink, and stay alive. Here we have the zebras, elephants, wildebeest, pied crows, everyone just getting on with their day. No particular panic. Beautiful scene. Wonderful yellow flowers. Nice contrast with the elephant. It's quite interesting. Over the last 3 days, those pied crows have pretty much been on that patch of soil, the same patch of soil, for 3 days now. I wonder if termites are maybe coming out there, or maybe with all the elephant activity, there's termites around the elephant dropping. But it is quite interesting to note that they're always in that same spot. Looks like that elephant has found some concrete. Wonderful work of art. Jackson Pollock comes to mind. I'm pretty sure that when that mud dries, it's a wonderful agent to get rid of all those ectoparasites and ticks. Those of you that have had the privilege to be in the bush and have a look at a rubbing post, you have a good close look at the soil that gets left behind on the tree. You can actually see how the ticks are stuck in that mud. One of the main reasons that elephants cover themselves in mud. And of course, as usual, the other reason is to keep cool. Right now, I would say it's probably somewhere in the late 30s degrees Celsius, so hovering around 100 Fahrenheit. It's really warm out there. It's pretty much in the middle of South Africa, right up on the northern boundaries of the country. So it's pretty warm. Keeping themselves cool is quite an important part of the day. Diana, that bird that just arrived is a grey heron. And I'd like to get a closer look at the duck that's moving off there, but I suspect it could be an Egyptian goose, quite a common bird in that area. So we'll see if the camera pans off to the left, but I suspect that's Egyptian goose, two grey herons. I think I saw another one there. Kate, this is a live broadcast. Yeah, if it's getting a little stuck, it might just be that everything's all quite far away. Maybe every now and then the cameras block up, but it should come back online. But it is a live broadcast, both my commentary and the recordings. It's the next best thing to actually being there. Yeah, so that is an Egyptian goose to the left of that heron at the back. Busy with an afternoon feed. Just want to give the camera a bit of time to maybe zoom out and pan across to the right-hand side. It's always nice to have a good look around before we move on to the next camera. The elephants and the zebra have got the same idea, panning off to the right. When I see white elephants like that, it always reminds me of a scene. I was on a safari in the salt pans of Botswana, and on a full moon night, those elephants are also covered in white soil, and on a full moonlight, it seems like they glow. I suspect if we had full moon here as well, it would be the same, or we'd have the same effect. A wonderful big herd of elephants. So that group that's coming from the left is coming to join this lot. Also a lot more zebras. It's quite interesting. Those zebras are looking across there, all in the same direction. They're not wagging their tails. You see those zebras on the right there, they seem to be staring off. Let's see if the others respond in the same way. Oh, sometimes when zebras see a predator or something that they're not sure of, sometimes when it's thick bush like this or the foliage is quite long, they might mistake a warthog for a lion, but they're always very aware of what's going on around them. So I just want to see if we can get the camera across there, just in case there's something lurking in the thicket. And the zebras are still looking off on the right. The other ones on the far right seem to be feeding again. Let's see if the camera keeps going off to the right-hand side there. It's always good to double check. Really tricky with the long grass. But it's not unusual for lions to be lying on that tree line. There was a wonderful snapshot taken the other day of a young male lion. Okay. No obvious sign of anything. That's all right. We're going to go across to Olifants River again, where there is a view of a crocodile on one of the sandbanks. Beautiful big croc, if a crocodile can be beautiful. I guess from where we're sitting, it can be. A big Nile crocodile with his mouth open, cooling off again. This is quite far north, the northern part of the country. relatively far to the east from where Tau is, maybe 200 odd miles, but it's still very warm up there at this time of year. The crocs coming out the water, just cooling off a bit. What an incredible animal, a crocodile. One of the few animals that hasn't really changed much apart from its size over the many millions of years. One of the top predators in its own environment. And talking about patience and having no rush in life, I would say that crocodile must be right up there with the most patient animals. They can sit in one place for days. Nothing much phases them. It sounds like there's something else at the water. Let's see if we can get the camera to pan out a little. I can hear something splashing. Maybe it's an elephant walking across the river. You never know. Bonnie, just to answer your question, this crocodile that we're looking at is on the Olifants River, which is in the northern part of South Africa, northeastern part of South Africa. The elephants we were looking at, at a place called Tau. Oh yes, there's an elephant. Oh, good guess. So the elephants we were looking at is right in the middle of South Africa on the northern boundary. The young elephant bull. What a wonderful view of him crossing the Olifants River. Those of you that are not sure, Olifants is Afrikaans for elephant. Just going to quietly watch him cross over. Wow, it truly is, I would say, a privilege to be able to witness that sort of thing, or to sit all around the world and watch these incredible wildlife moments 100% live. It's quite hard I think sometimes to process the concept that that elephant is is right there crossing the river right now. Um, we're all over the world, and that elephant's been crossing this river, or it and its generations beforehand, forever essentially. That crocodile was most likely born somewhere along the river upstream and has been doing what it does, not because we're watching or because we exist. It's just been doing that because that's the way it lives on this planet without disturbance. Beautiful elephant. Wow, really enjoy that. Okay, we're going to go across to Tembe. So this is now also north of the country, but way across to the east, on the border with, almost on the border with Mozambique and the Indian Ocean. Quite a different environment. And we have another elephant coming into screen. Couple of impala in the background. Those antelope are called impala. So this elephant, and that elephant, by the way, that was crossing the river, I would say is somewhere in their early 20s, maybe this one a little younger, slightly smaller body, but somewhere in their middle 20s, young adults. He came down quite quickly for a drink. He's most likely come from quite far, spend most of their time feeding, but do need to squeeze in a drink, especially in summer, at least twice a day. Very water dependent. So he's quenching his thirst. So this area also very hot at this time of year, but a different kind of heat, a very humid heat, being, I would say, probably maybe 80 miles inland from the Indian Ocean. Starts a cycle of pretty high humidity. So it also gets around 35 degrees, just below 100, but really humid. You can see it's beautifully lush. When the camera pans out, you'll see much thicker bush. Got the palm trees, quite a tropical feature in the foreground. Lots of great bird life here. You can hear them all calling in the background. Great place to do some birding. There's two woolly-necked storks on the left, also continual visitor at the waterhole for the summer months, and Egyptian geese. They are around all year. And in this case, they're feeding on grass, so there's no shortage of that. And a lot of that grass is also seeding at the moment, so they'll be getting in a lot more nutrients than just the grass. The woolly-necked storks, they'll be scouring the ground and the grass for insects, so they've got to work a little harder for their food. That's a Hardy-Dow ibis, and that one's probing the ground for grubs and worms in particular with that long beak. Have a look at that. Beautiful shiny feathers as the sun catches the shoulder. Talking about shiny, just have a look at the coats of those impala. They almost look bronze. Perfect condition. Funnily, they're called Egyptian geese because they were first, well, their names come from that they found along the Nile River, all along the Nile River, and they actually moved down south from the north, bringing along their names. So they're pretty widespread now throughout Africa, and almost everywhere you go, especially through the central parts, you'll find them, but you will also find them on the banks of the Nile River. There was a question earlier about crocodiles. Do they bother the elephants? Generally speaking, not at all. If a little elephant, if a baby elephant lost its mother or, was trying to cross the river itself, there are situations or scenarios that have been recorded where crocodiles have taken out baby elephants, but it's very unusual. As we saw there, that croc didn't even move. It left that big fellow alone. And the same goes for things like hippos. Hippos and crocodiles get on just fine. If a young hippo happens to find itself on its own, a big crocodile might take the chance. They are highly opportunistic. Some of you might have seen some of the videos of crocodiles taking out lions crossing rivers. There was a video doing the rounds where a cheetah got taken. It's not common for crocodile to take big animals like that, but if there's an opportunity, they're very good at capitalizing on that. I'm going to turn the volume up a bit. Let's just watch and listen to the afternoon sounds for a bit. One of the more obvious sounds that we hear is the green-spotted wood dove or emerald-spotted wood dove. Again, if anyone has a birding app or a book, you should have a look at it. It's a beautiful little dove. It has bronze inner wings or bronze feathers on the inner wing and these incredible green or emerald spots on the outside of its wing. There's also red-eyed doves calling, a much larger dove, not quite as beautiful, but if you catch it in the sunlight, it's a bit of a purple, soft purple color. There's a lot of weavers chattering in the background. It's quite tricky to distinguish all the different bird calls. Lots of activity this afternoon. Folks, we've come to the end of the first half of the show. If anyone would like to carry on watching, if you're not on Africam Premium, go ahead, go across to the website. I'll be here for another half an hour. We'll go through some of the highlights and keep going through the rest of the cameras. For those of you on Facebook and YouTube, thanks so much for joining me. Lovely to have your questions and interact with you. Hope you have a great day further. Keep watching the cams. And we'll catch up with you tomorrow morning on the morning show. Okay, we're going to go across to another beautiful waterhole, Rosie's. This is not too far away from the Olifants River itself. Let's just wait a bit for the camera to pan around and almost feel that the days are getting shorter. It's already getting a little bit darker there. The sun's on its way down. But it's still very beautiful, beautiful afternoon. You can hear the white-browed scrub robin calling in the background. Cape turtle doves. Just want to have a look around, see if anybody's home. It sounds like the call of the southern black tit in the background. A little black bird with white markings down its wing. Very active little insectivorous bird. Always sound a little cross. No sign of any big mammals yet. We'll keep an eye on it. I'd like to go over to some of the highlight videos taken over the last couple of days. We'll start off with this one. I just think it's a wonderful evening view of a whole family of hippos. You don't often see so many together grazing on the banks. Hippos of different age groups. They've been spending a lot of time in the fuller parts of the river. This was taken about 3 or 4 days ago. 9 of them looked like jelly beans on little legs. They don't need to travel too far. Typically, hippos will spend their daytime hours inside the water. There's number 10. And then at night, travel as far as they need to, essentially, for food. But because there's been so much great rain, there's a lot of food right there just on the banks of the river. It's quite nice to see that there's also so many youngsters, and probably around 3 to 4 months. There's ones on the left look a bit bigger, maybe 5 months old. That group of 3 on the right there, maybe 2 to 3 months. Nice to see them out the water. Get a good look at their body shape, rather strange. Quite soft skin, or relatively speaking, if you compare to something like a rhino. Managed to deal with the water, or at least being submerged for hours on end with that soft skin. It's also one of the reasons why they spend the nighttime hours out of the water, so they don't get burnt by the sun. Another one coming through the back there, that's 11 now. Okay, so that was a big herd or group of hippos in the water. One would refer to them as a raft or a pod. Outside, I would say group is appropriate. And from one big group of animals to the next, here's a wonderful view of elephants at Naledi waterhole. Look at that big female having a good old scratch. Maybe it's a young male, but have a look at him having a scratch. Can't stick around for too long, got to keep moving. When you got a scratch, you got a scratch. Just thought this was a wonderful clip of them coming through right past the camera. Everyone having a quick drink, quick splash. Always quite special to see. Nicely covered in mud, cooling off in that direction where they're going. That goes straight to Cat-Eye Pan. And from a big group of elephants to another group of an interesting bird called the red-billed buffalo weaver, having a bath. Not only big elephants love to bath and play in the water, birds do the same. This is a wonderful clip. You don't often see these buffalo weavers keeping still. They're always very busy building onto their nest. They have a communal nest, often right on the tops of trees, quite a messy nest made up of small dried twigs. But most of these are juveniles. You can see their mottled feathers. Some of them starting, there's a nice red bill, that's an adult. It also makes up one of the small five. Red-billed buffalo weaver. We often see leopard tortoises. There's ant lions, rhino beetles. We come up with all sorts of things to look at. Okay. And one more really special sighting here before we go back to the live cams. That's a brown hyena. Beautiful in the full daylight. You don't get to see that. It bypasses the water, but watch as when it comes out of this thicket, it actually extends its anal scent glands and very skillfully deposits some scent, these pastings, on a little bit of grass. There is the gland itself, and it's just dipping on top of that piece of grass, very skillfully delivering a little territorial message. Quite an unusual animal to see on the best of times, really rare, quite shy. In fact, some of the best sightings I've had ever on the cameras because we don't disturb them. That's quite special to see. Let's go across to Nkoropan live now. We're back on the live stream. I just want to have a look and see what else is going on. There were some impalas. Those of you that were watching the cameras last night, a big male lion actually walked right up to the lodge. As there were some people that started to shine spotlights on it, moved off, but right there where those impalas are, there's a beautiful big male lion. But now, nice and calm, safe on the front line. Hear the Cape turtle dove in the background. just keep panning with the camera slowly. This is also where that brown hyena footage was taken from. You've got to have a good look in this long grass. Really quite tricky to see if there is anything in there. Just having a very slow look here. You never know. Oh, change gears. Lots of swallows, very active just above the grass. They'll be hawking insects out the sky there. Lots of activity, lots of food. And just keep going around until we get to the water. Don't want to miss anything. The swallow's also taking a little drink there and just skimming the water. Okay, nobody out there today. That's all right. I just want to go across to Cat's Eye Pan with the late afternoon sunlight. It's just beautiful. Look at that. Soft yellows and oranges. Now all we need is a big elephant bull to come into the picture. Just have a little look around here. Okay, nobody there right now. I'd like to go to another highlight video, or I thought was quite interesting. It's also at Cat Eye Pan. Just have a look at the lightning and the storm brewing in the background here. A wonderful scene. These impalas and the big lightning strikes at the back. Look at that. Again, it's something you don't often get to see. You often driving around or you inside the lodge or again, but to see that in the night like this is quite a special sight. As I've been saying, there's been lots of rain in this area over the last 2 months, and it looks like it's going to carry on for a while, making it nice and green and lush, lots of food. Okay, lovely peaceful scene. We're going to go back across to Tembe, back on the live stream now. The young impala in the middle of the screen, and then the big Inyala bull on the left. Again, the concept or the theme of everybody just getting on with each other. The different animals have no problem with each other. As long as there's enough food and water, everyone's happy. Look at that beautiful Inyala bull. Looks like he's on his way down for a drink. Got an oxpecker on his shoulder. He's got quite a shaggy fur. It's probably quite a good area for an oxpecker to be looking for ticks through the long hair. Pretty irritating for the Nyala though. Here at Tembe we see lots of Nyala, but actually across broader spectrum they're not that common. They get out-competed by things like kudus and bushbuck in some areas. But here in Tembe in particular, they seem to thrive. That's the call of a yellow-billed kite in the background. Having a good old nibble there. It's quite interesting. Typically in nyalas you'll find them feeding on leaves, so they're predominantly a browser. It might be feeding on little shrubs, but in this case I think it's feeding on the fresh grass. And they'll be mixed feeding there. Quite interesting to see. These look like Cape turtle doves in the background, quite a few of them. And the woody neck stalks again. Just want to wait and see if the camera might pan out a bit further, zoom out and pan across. Just see if there's anything else out at the pan. There's something in the foreground. There's an impala. Yes. Just want to wait and see if there's anything else, especially off on the right hand side. We haven't had a look there yet, so while we wait for the camera to respond, we're just enjoying the view and listening to the sounds. Beautiful afternoon. There's another impala male and another female. Everyone just taking it nice and easy. Afternoon's feed. I haven't seen the pride of lions that we often see around here for a while. Maybe they offered another waterhole, or maybe they've made a kill. They always seem to be quite full. A successful area this for predators. Okay, so impalas and inyalas. Just crossing back over to Olifants River. Just beautiful afternoon sunlight. Always nice to just watch the river flowing down. We'll have another look around in case something else has arrived. Cape turtle dove calling in the background. There was a woodlands kingfisher as well. Listen out for it. That was the kingfisher. Some baboons giving off a bit of racket there. Maybe there's a little fight going on within the family. Really quite tricky to see them these days with all that long foliage and grass. They're usually somewhere around there, around the fig trees that can also be on this, or the camera side of the river. Listen to them. You might find that a younger male is causing a bit of havoc, and the big males that are barking in the background are sorting that out. Could also be two troops have come across each other. They're very territorial. They seem to be very excited about something. Let's see if the camera pans across to our side of, or the camera side of the river. Could be another troop coming in there, the ones that roost just above the trees, above the camera. Can't see anything on that side of the river. Yeah, the big male shouting probably from the top of a tree or top of a rock. Big territorial call. Maybe we'll see something on this side. Nothing up that side of the path. Might be the troop that's just on its way. They usually gather at the base of that big ebony right in front of the camera to have a bit of a grooming session before climbing up into the tree. Oh, certainly very excited about something. Usually if there's a predator, you typically only hear the barks and the shots, rather than those high-pitched screams. These are usually the youngsters or younger teenagers having a bit of a fight. Really quite tricky when you can't see them. Then again, it's quite interesting just to hear. Use the sound. That path runs all the way along the river. When I have spent time in this area, I've often seen the troop coming from quite far all the way along that path. No sign of them at the moment, but quite interesting to hear. I'm going to go across to some of the snapshots taken before we finish off this afternoon. Here's a beautiful photograph of a small family unit of elephants at Tau. Babasolo, beautiful photograph, especially of this youngster starting to use its trunk quite skillfully. And we're just going to finish off with one more photograph. It's quite an interesting photograph. And the blob is moving and changing. What is it? I suspect that those are tadpoles that are moving together. It's safer that way. If you move as one, you'll get gobbled up quite quickly. But that makes them look like one big animal that they can keep moving. And as the tadpoles get bigger, swim faster, they'll start to split up. A very interesting photograph. Thanks for your time today, folks. It's been a wonderful hour, seen and heard some interesting things. Great to interact with you, the viewer. Keep watching the cams, and I look forward to catching up with you tomorrow morning on the morning show. And if you do see something interesting, snap away. The snapshots are always great to go through, and we'll put some of them on the show. Have a great day further, folks, and I'll catch up with you tomorrow.